Satatam Ketayanto Mam Yukta. Yes, okay. Satatam Ketayanto Mam Yatantascha Didhavrataha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate Satatam Ketayanto Mam Yatantascha Didhavrataha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate Satatam Ketayanto Mam Yantatascha Didhavrataha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate. Can someone try?
Satatam Kirtayanto Mam
Satatam Kirtayanto Mam
Yatantascha Dridhavrataha
Yatantascha Dridhavrataha
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Nityayukta Upasate.
Nitya Yukta Upasate.
Anyone else?
Satatam Kirtayanto Mam
Satatam Kirtayanto Mam
Yatantascha Dridhavrataha
Yatantascha Dridhavrataha
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Nityayukta Upasate.
Nitya Yukta Upasate.
Ladies? Two ladies?
Satatam Kirtayanto Mam
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Nitya Yukta Upasate.
Any more ladies? So word for word translation, translation and purport by Divine Grace is Confound Acharya, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Satatam, always. Kirtayantaha, chanting. Ma, about me. Yatantaha, fully endeavoring. Cha, also. Didhavrataha, with determination. Namasyantaha, offering obeisances. Cha, and. Mam, me. Bhaktya, in devotion. Nitya Yuktaha, perpetually engaged. Upasate, worship. Translation: always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. This great soul perpetually worship me with devotion. Please kindly responsibly repeat. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So listen attentively to the purport. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of God. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, is not described as Mahatma in the Bhāgavat Gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or a human being. That devotion, Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu and Smaranam, remembering him, such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any form of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result. As described in the 2nd verse of this chapter, not only is this devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live this simple life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master. And in any position, either as a householder or a sannyas or a brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually Mahatma, a great soul. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnana Salakaya Satsur Meditam Yena Tasmai Si Gurbe Namaha Suchetanya Manovistam Stafitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodato Gurudaya Paspuvanto Chita Chanditamona Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itinamani Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Vicharine Nidisesa Suni Bhari Pasatyari Sutari Pancha Kalpatari Vichar Eva Char Vitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you everyone for coming to join us for these short discussions. So this text is very pertinent to what we do in the Hare Krishna movement every day. And the whole idea is that there is a purpose to human life, And if that purpose is always remembered, we can walk towards achieving the ultimate goal, which is Krishna Prema Puma to Maha, pure love for Krishna, pure love. We all are looking for love. Raise your hand if you're not looking for love. We are all looking for love, but sometimes the love is misplaced. It's like what we sometimes say, like you put someone who is not skilled in a particular field to do a particular job is, it's a square peg in a round hole. So sometimes we have our love placed in the wrong place, and therefore it doesn't fit in. Like you put a square peg in a round hole, it's not going to be smooth. So our love should actually be reposed in Krishna. Okay? And when that is not done, we invest our loving energies in something else. We're not going to be happy. And so this text is giving us a sense of direction about who is a great soul, who is a Mahatma. Sometimes people think that just by having a name, Mahatma, someone becomes a great soul. But it's not like that. It's just like if your parents are doctors, your parents are medical doctors. You don't become a medical doctor just by birth. You have to go to medical school. So just by having a name, Mahatma, it doesn't make us a Mahatma. And just like by being given a trade does not make us a Brahmin. We have to endeavor to cultivate knowledge. Cultivate means to put into practice. Just like if you went to law school, you can be called a graduate of law. And if you're practicing law, you go into the court to argue cases and free litigants and free your clients. You are a legal practitioner. Similarly, you finish medical school, you're called a medical doctor. And if you're practicing, you're called a medical practitioner. But if you're not practicing, say for instance, you're a medical doctor, you have a medical degree, you're an MD, and now your job is, you are managing, you set up some, hotels, and you're just managing these hotels. You're not called a medical practitioner. You have a doctorate degree, medical degree, but you're not called. These are subtle things, okay? You're not called a medical doctor. So just by being stamped a Mahatma, we don't become Mahatmas. Just by putting on a tilak, we don't become Vaishnavas or Vaishnavis. We have to be practitioners. By practice, then we can come to that stage when we will be able to remember Krishna all the time, to think of Krishna all the time, such a time, always. And sometimes it could be very bewildering. How am I going to do this? Krishna is saying, is giving this a very vivid descriptions, always chanting my glories. How many of us here are going to be able to do that? You have to cook for your house, for your household. Okay? You have a job, you have to go for your job. Tell me how you're going to do this. I didn't choose this verse. Let's be clear. I didn't choose this. I didn't have anything in my mind when I was coming to this temple. Okay? I just asked for the Bhagavad Gita and opened this text. I opened the Bhagavad Gita, and this was the verse that came up. That's why I'm addressing it. Okay, so let's get these points clearly. So the point is that there are two types of people. There is the Mahatma, and there is the Duratma. A Mahatma is someone very liberal in terms of devotional culture. A Duratma is a miser. They don't want to do anything that will facilitate their extrication from the shackles of material bondage. They like it. I mean, it's like, the president of the country, he has a power that is, we call a prerogative of mercy. He could go to the prison and free people. Even someone is condemned to death, he can use that power and just say, "Oh, you're freed." So, not everyone has that power, but the president has that power, or the governor of the state has that power. So, we need to understand that there are sometimes people are released from the prison. They're given order, "Hey, you can go." And the person is very comfortable. He said, "Where am I going to go? I'm having 2 square meals here freely. Where am I going to go?" So some of us also are like that. Lord Chaitanya has come and he has opened, the door of prema. Hey, go drink it and get out from this prison. And we say, "I'm fine here." Therefore, we should, look at ourselves properly and try to understand this place is not sustainably conducive. It might be conducive momentarily. We might even become the president of the United States, and the next moment we can become a felon. Oh yeah, this is how the material world, this is the operational limitations of the material world. And therefore, Prabhupada has mentioned in his purport that this Mahatma is not just some impersonalist. There are two class of people who are vying for liberation. There are the impersonalists and there are the personalists. The personalists are the devotees of the Lord, those who worship the personal form of the Lord. And the impersonalists are those who worship the Brahma Jyoti, the effulgence of the Lord. They are attracted to that energy. But energy is always connected with energetic. If we think that energy, for instance, this light is from the electrical energy, if we think this energy is not coming from the powerhouse, then I think that we need to go to see some psychiatrists. Similarly, if someone is simply endeavoring to worship the impersonal Brahma Jyoti and then just to merge into the Brahma Jyoti, and there, we have so many people who profess to be spiritualists in America. I mean, top-notchers, achievers, high-profile people. There is an organization, I don't want to mention, but there's an organization that we have all these high-profile achievers. They are purportedly involved in spiritual practice, but they are all impersonalists. And therefore, the very concept of personalism is very rare to achieve. And therefore, Lord Krishna mentions in the Gita that it is after so many lifetimes of cultivation of spiritual knowledge, cultivation of devotional activities, that one comes to the platform where we can appreciate the personal form of the Lord and worship the personal form of the Lord and do this chanting of his names. This is sometimes we are chanting and then someone is thinking in their family or someone is not following and they think that you're just nonsense. Well, why are you not doing this? But it's not so easy. Krishna said, after many, many lifetimes, we have something and we think, look, if we are looking for, say, a personal jet plane, we aim to buy a personal jet plane. And it's not a big thing in America. So many people, they don't even have a college degree. They have jet planes. Oh yeah. You don't know? There's some type of bet that if a child is able to take bet in some type, say in a family of musicians, by the time they're 5 years old, they are billionaires. Oh yeah, so private jet is nothing. But private jet alone does not give us sustainable happiness. And therefore, the whole affair of devotional life is to be able to utilize everything in the service of the Lord. Not to just vie to merge into the Brahman effulgence. Because when we merge into the Brahman effulgence, I'm saying this because, see, there are a lot of people who have misconception about devotional life. They go to the Vedic literature and they read something, and then they say, this is in the Vedas. And so I'm practicing this. But it doesn't work like that. We need proper mentions in the purport. We have to walk under the guidance of a spiritual master. I mean, if you want to become, say, a psychosurgeon, you have to go to medical school and specialize in neurology. Then you can, become fully an adept in psychosurgery. You have to be trained in that specialty. You don't learn it online. You can't become a psychosurgeon through online learning. We need some guidance. Spiritual life is very, very complex. It looks very simple, but it's very complex because we have so many doubts at every moment of our lives. We need some clarifications of these doubts to be able to forge ahead, to be able to navigate through the challenges involved in trying to worship Krishna. Otherwise, we may take for granted. Therefore, to be a Mahatma is such an amazing thing, but the symptoms are described in this text. The Mahatma is always in love with Krishna. He is glorifying Lord Krishna. If someone is, what's your name? Sai. If someone is glorifying Sai, how will you feel? You feel happy? Oh yeah. If someone is talking great, is glorifying you, glorifying anybody, we feel, he loves me. Yeah. If someone is talking ill about us, we feel offended. Is that correct? So, the Mahatma, he doesn't talk ill about Krishna. He is always glorifying Lord Krishna. And therefore, he is very dear to Krishna. If somebody is even speaking ill of Krishna, Krishna doesn't mind. He tolerates you for a very long time. But maybe at some point in time, he will send his Sudarshan chakra. But then the point is, let's understand what it takes to be a Mahatma. Always glorifying Lord Krishna. And it's very simple in this age. You don't need to give up your job. You don't need to give up your family. You don't need to give up anything. You just learn to chant, associate with Krishna through His holiness. Who are those chanting Hare Krishna every day? Raise up your hand. I chant every day the Maha Mantra. So if we are not doing it, we should try to do it. Why? There are so many amazing positive side effects. I was giving a talk in a home in Calcutta, and this family, their daughter is doing a PhD in quantum physics, and so she doesn't chant. The parents are chanting. Parents are aspiring to take initiation. So, but then that day for the home program, she was there. She came. She visited the parents, so she was there. She attended the class. So during the question and answers, she said, she asked a question. She said, Maharaj, what is in there in the chanting? Because the scientists, they want to know what they will gain from what you are asking them to do. If you say, oh, well, this is to allow you, to free you from suffering. I'm not suffering. So, I mean, and I've seen this in Michigan, they were telling me, what's his name? Yugal Kishore was telling me how one of the devotees, his older brother came, and the guy is, top notch, finance-wise. So then they were trying to preach to him. They said, chant and be happy. The guy said, come on, I'm happy. So if you simply tell someone to chant and be happy, and it's an achiever, of course, they will rebuff your proposition. They will tell you that they are happy. But then, why is a Mahatma always chant? Because they are in love with Krishna. They are in love with Krishna. If you're in love with somebody, you always want to hang out with them. Is that true? Is that correct? Yes. Is it not true? If you're in love with someone, you want to hang out with them always. So the Mahatma is in love with Krishna. He is always hanging out, or she is always hanging out with Krishna in his holy names. How is that? Because Krishna's holy names are not different from physical manifestation of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is absolute. And therefore, we should rise above the standard of being a Kripana or being a Duratma. We should become Mahatmas. And we should practice to become Mahatmas. We can practice to become Mahatmas. And it begins with, having a sense of belonging by practicing a little bit of bhakti. And this little bit of bhakti begins with the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that gradually we will be able to go deeper and have the lived experience of Krishna's sweetness, Krishna's glories through his holy names. You see, if you ask someone to do something, we are conditioned souls. If you ask someone to do something, they may not ask you, what is my benefit? What is in there for me? Like the scientist asks, what is in there in the chanting? They may not ask, but at the back of their mind they're thinking, what is in there for me? So if you have, let's say, a 5-year-old child or 6-year-old child, and I tell them, hey, chant. And then you chant for what? It's a chant and be happy. Mommy, I'm happy. What are you going to do? If your child tells you, Mommy, I'm happy, what are you going to do? So we should also to make some investigation to understand the positive side effects, how we can convince people from different backgrounds the need to practice to chant. And there are so many positive, science-based evidence on the positive side effects of chanting. Mental health, attention span, cognition, so many researches have been conducted to demonstrate the positive side effects of this Maha Mantra. And that is why the Mahatma, it doesn't cease. It doesn't go on break. No vacation with the holy names, with remembering of Krishna. So we should also practice. In this age, Lord Chaitanya has made it very simple that we can be anywhere. It doesn't require that you take sannyas or you take vanaprastha or you leave your job or whatever. No. Be where you are and just integrate Krishna consciousness in your life. And you will be able to realize the value of devotional practice. Any comments or questions? Yes.
I feel like when someone is very scientific, it's something that I enjoy doing. If you look at the history of all of the greatest scientists, they were all theologians, right, regardless of the background. And when people who study quantum physics ask me, like, what's in this, you can just say like the answer to your scientific pursuit. You know, because someone who's doing quantum physics, they want to understand the universe without Krishna. So they're doing so much work to come to the conclusion ultimately that God made all of this. You know, so I just feel like that kind of angle is like a good way to, I don't know, like erode whatever this wall is that they have up. But it's funny that the more somebody studies the universe in detail, like the more rigid their mind becomes towards accepting Krishna, because they put so much effort to understanding this without understanding Krishna.
Yeah.
So like your mind got in a hard place.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good observation, good point. Now, a number of these so-called agnostics, they are believers.
Yes.
I give you an example. When Apollo 11 were on our expedition to the moon, they had some difficulties. And these are people who say they don't believe in God. But when they had some difficulties, I remember Apollo 11, I was a kid when I heard of Apollo 11, I think 1970 or in the 70s. And as they were sailing, they had some difficulties. And these people who claim to be agnostics, they don't believe in God, they say, we are in problem, pray for us. Yeah, so inherently, we have this, inclination for divinity. It's just that the external energy tends to cover us, and some people are too much like engulfed in the material energy that they don't seem to be able to get the reawakening of Krishna consciousness in them. And what I've also seen in academia is that a number of these scientists, if they see another scientist who is spiritually realized, they are jealous. They want to become like you because they see your values which they don't have. You have their education, you have their qualification, material qualification, but then they don't have your values. Then they feel really jealous.
But that kind of makes sense, because I feel like sometimes you have like an envy, like of Krishna, like materially, and that a lot of times pushes people to science. Like people who want a nice house and a nice car, like they want to make this opulence in their life, they tend to go into science.
Yeah.
And then they cover the fact that like they want a nicer house and a nicer car with the fact like, I'm doing this service for the people. Like I'm poking these rats and I'm figuring things out.
Yeah. Thank you.
So then it makes sense that they would get envious of the moral values.
Yeah.
When they see it.
But the envy, the jealousy is also, it's a positive, it's a benign envy, means not destructive. In other words, they want to become like you. And they very, very quickly, they come to befriend you, and then they want to become like you, and then very easily you can teach them Bhakti Yoga. I remember a case of one scientist. She told me, I used to stay in their home when I go to the country, and she told me how in the organization, she is the only person who is spiritually oriented or devotional, a devotee. So the whole scientists, the whole researchers, they know her. And when it is time for break, everybody goes out to do their stuff, and she goes to some corner and then just to do japa. But her values were very, very outstanding. And so people, her fellow colleagues, they were very much aware that she's an exceptional person. But you know what? One of our colleagues, one day, she didn't preach, nothing. One of our colleagues just came to her one day and said, please, teach me Bhakti Yoga. I want to become like you. And that is why, one of our solicitations is that our next phase, the next phase of our Krishna consciousness should be that of motivating our children to go to the apex of their profession, to try to become great achievers. Because when you have this caliber of people, it becomes easy to connect with other high achievers. Because if you don't have, say, for instance, I like giving this example. One devotee, a Satsvarup Maharaj disciple, he told me a story. He getting angry. He told me he never went to college. So they were distributed back to God at Boston. And so we went to Harvard University Park. And then he saw one guy, young man, alight from his car. So he approached this guy with back to God. And so he presented back to God to this guy, apparently a professor. And then the guy just turned to him and said, "Don't you know I'm Harvard professor?" He said he was completely disoriented. He never went to college. And here a young man, far younger than him in age, is telling him, "Don't you know I'm Harvard professor?" You know what can you tell me? I know everything. But then, because he never went to college, he felt so disturbed. Now, I have had experiences perhaps worse than that, which was like a direct, despicable response. I remember one time I went to meet one professor, a head of department, to solicit for a slot to make a presentation to the final year students of his department. And because I was just putting on a brahmachari dress, he looked at me up, down, 3 times, up, down. And he said, "We don't do this here." And then I retorted, because at that time I was like crazy. Okay, at that time, that was the period I just had my first 25 publications in academic journals in 3 years. So I told this professor that, "Excuse me, sir, but I have 25 publications in peer-reviewed journals in 3 years." He was taken aback.
You said the clothes and the accomplishments, they don't match. I don't understand.
He was taken aback. And then, calmly, he said, "Can I see some of those publications?" So the next day I came, and that was a federal university. So the next day I came with 3 publications from the most reputed university in the country. I showed it to him. I showed my publications to him. And then the story took a 360 degrees U-turn in a positive way. He became very, very sober. Now he said, "So, sir, when are you coming to make your presentation?" So it makes it easy for us when we train our children, especially those who are inclined and learning. That should be the next phase of our Krishna consciousness. That is already happening in India. In Calcutta, I used to be in one small temple in an area called New Alipur. New Alipur is the most expensive area in Calcutta. Now they have a temple which was donated by one doctor who had served in the US, then retired back. Later he died. So the wife was alive, and then later also the wife left. So they had given this building to the ISKCON. So they set up a temple. And that temple, at the last time I went there, there were just 12 devotees in the temple. The temple president is a scientist. He has a PhD in some science field. The wife is a scientist. She is an eye surgeon. And they are young people. The chief cook is a scientist. The chief pujari is there are 5 scientists. There are 5 doctors in that small temple. And they simply use your skills in cultivating high-profile people. The small temple, 5 PhDs, 5 doctors. So we should not sit back and say, well, just Don't over endeavor. Don't work too hard. Yes, you want to ask a question?
Wait, I guess one question I always have, or that comes up, is with Bhagavad Gita, it was recited on the battlefield, but Krishna approached Duryodhana personally. How was it that Duryodhana could not be caged? How was it that he couldn't be convinced? What's your take?
How Duryodhana couldn't change?
Yeah, he chose, Krishna couldn't convince him to have a peaceful life. Even though Krishna is in his heart, lying dormantly,
Yeah.
how is it that Krishna couldn't convince that? Why?
Yeah, because we have independence. Krishna has given us some independence. And you see, if you love somebody, you do the things that will favor his cause. You engage yourself in what is called the psychology of adjustment. You don't say either my way or the highway. This is one of the problems. Maladjustment is one. Duryodhana is a typical, is an epithet of maladjustment. He couldn't adjust himself. He wanted my way or the highway. Then Krishna said, all right, war. Arjuna, get into war. He's not able to adjust himself. He's not seen to reason. What he wants is, that's it. There are people like that. There are so many small Duryodhans on this planet who don't want to see into any reason. No matter the evidence you present to them, what they have concluded, that's it. So Krishna wouldn't force anybody. If someone is forcing you, that's not love. You have independence, you make your decisions. You may make your decisions to go advance to that person or to align with that person. So Krishna gives us that independence. We align with him, or we either serve the Bhairanga Shakti or the Antaranga Shakti. That is it. Duryodhana says, I am for Bhairanga Shakti. Krishna said, good for you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.